tuning into the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show with your host, Michael Carvelis.
What's that? You're telling me the National Lacrosse League season starts tonight? That's right. And welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. You're watching Daily Dive. It is Friday, October 29th, 2024, November, good Lord. It is November 29th, 2024. I am your host, Michael Carvelis in Guyton, Georgia. Producer Joe is somewhere behind the scenes in Banditland, New York. We are live on 12 Ounce Sports via Twitter/X and YouTube. Subscribe to the 12 Ounce Sports channel for other great shows and live sports. On today's awesome show, we're going to first get into Hype Up Fridays, and Adam Levy Friday here, as we're going to show you an interview with Adam Levy that was recorded this morning to hype up Dyson Williams, Brandon O'Neill, and the Vancouver Warriors. Later on, we'll get our betting advice from Pat Gregoire of Coolback, Canada, and one of the voices of the National Lacrosse League. And later, myself and producer Joe's Pick'em and Best Bets. We cannot wait to show you what we have in store, but first, before we get started, we want to let you know this show is presented by tickets.12onsports.com. That's tickets.numbers12 ozsports.com. Get your National Lacrosse League tickets for less by going to that website. They also include every sport and all your favorite artists' concerts, not to mention Broadway and theater tickets.12onsports.com. Without further ado, let's get into the interview with Adam Levy. Oh, wow. The NLL season is here. And how did you know? Because our good man, hype man, Adam Levy, Professor Adam, is here. Adam, welcome back for another season of Daily Dive, officially official.
Oh, it's so exciting. And I guess if I'm the hype man, hoot, hoot, let's get the party started. Am I right?
Hey.
This is how I am at actual parties, too. So that just shows you how much of a non-hype man I am.
Oh, well, to be fair, we just had a hype up month, so we're still kind of like hungover. So I get the vibes there. I get
exactly. No, I know it's a faux pas, but I guess I'm fun at parties. I think that's for other people to decide.
I'll figure it out. I don't even go to parties, so that's good for you, Adam.
Well, we'll go to one together during the NLL season.
Buffalo Bandits. I'm kidding. All right, so we're just gonna get right into. We got 3 games to get to because these 3 were the most intriguing to myself and Adam, at least this side of the coin. And the first one we'll get into is, hey, the Philadelphia Wings have a number 1 pick in the NLL draft who was really, really good. His name is Brandon O'Neill. Brandon O'Neill, his first test is against Chris Origlieri. Congratulations, Brandon, on your first test. That's a pretty big task, in my opinion. Adam, tell me what you expect from the rookie and what you expect from O-Rig on the SEAL side.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I just happened to have a feature piece on Brennan O'Neill coming out on Inside Lacrosse's IL Indoor tomorrow morning, so that would be Saturday morning. So definitely go check that out before the game on Sunday. I have to say it's a great way to end the first week of the NLL season with a game with teams that have changed so drastically. In terms of Brennan, he is a phenomenal lacrosse player, but we do need to keep in mind that while he has had a history in box, and I am going to talk about that in the feature piece, that he is not a lifelong box lacrosse player. And in the latter stages of his teen years and over the last few years, it has definitely come second to field lacrosse. And It is often a big adjustment for guys who are playing. Sorry about that. Get some text messages from my super.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so with Brennan, it can be a transition period for a lot of Americans who are coming into the box game. It is very different. And I got to speak with Brennan in the open practice for the Philadelphia Wings at the beginning of November, and he admitted that, one, the pace of play was something that was going to be a challenge. He was quite gassed after that first open practice, so that was notable. And that's also, like, with the physicality, the speed of the game, it's very different than field lacrosse. And then he mentioned how the lateral movement and the movements you have to make in box lacrosse, whether it's running to the ball or making transition plays or just how you move the ball around. It's different than field lacrosse. Different space, obviously, than a lacrosse field, lacrosse box. So, I think that, and I think he would say it himself, and I think he even did for the feature piece, that you need to maybe temper expectations of absolute excellence going forward. It's going to be a process for Brennan, and that is totally normal for someone in his position. Now, might his process be sped up because he is such a great lacrosse talent? I'm sure that's very possible. But I don't think he's going to come out of the gates and be like the next big thing, or challenge Dyson Williams in terms of his production on the floor. Now, for his sake and the NLL's sake, I hope that is a wrong prediction and he just goes gangbusters and is absolutely incredible on the floor. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, of course, going up against, as you mentioned, Christopher Origlieri, one of the best goaltenders. I believe he was, number 5 in the NLL's top list among coaches and GMs who voted. And he's a really mature, skilled, talented young player. There's a lot of great things for him as a goaltender. So I think that's super exciting to see what he can do in another year. I think you're going to see improvements from him. I'm just excited, but it's going to be a great first challenge. For Brennan going against a Nick Rose or a Doug Jamieson or a Matt Vince or a Christopher Origlieri. What an awesome challenge for him, and what an awesome thing for NLL fans to see in week 1.
Yeah, and for fans that are hardcore with the NLL, they've already seen a little bit of O'Neill when he was on the Rocks preseason, which I think is great. That they do that. So was that against Nick Rose that he scored that goal?
It might have been. I'd have to go back. Admittedly, I don't remember if I saw that clip or not.
Yeah, but it's awesome. The Seals obviously got a lot of roster turnover, but yeah, we're excited for Brennan. We definitely are excited for Brennan, even though you might have just killed the vibes here. But it's okay. Well, I'm kidding. You didn't.
Look, it's undersell, over deliver. I think is usually the way to go, and so. While I expect Brennan to be a very good talent in the National Lacrosse League, and by the way, he has said to me, and I'm sure many others, that this is not a short-term journey for him. He wants to play box and field as long as he can, and I think had even thrown out 10, 12 years that he wants to play if he can keep his body in shape. So this is just the beginning for Brennan O'Neill, and I have no doubt whenever it happens that he will be one of the top players in this league.
Love it. Let's get into our next game. It's going to be the Vancouver Warriors at the Colorado Mammoth. Kurt Malosky and his team, he's finally got that year under his belt. The Mammoth have got a healthy Ryan Lee, but a probably re-energized Dylan Ward. What do you expect from this game? I know you're a big Vancouver guy, but what's going on in this game, man?
Vancouver has a special place in my heart for sure, with how much I came up the ranks in the National Lacrosse League during my time there, and I love Kurt Malosky. I think you would be hard pressed to find a player in the National Lacrosse League who doesn't respect him so much and think he's the best, if not the best coach in the National Lacrosse League. Again, according to the NLL's polls, I believe coaches and GMs said that they think that Kurt Malosky is going to win Coach of the Year this year. So that, again, shows you how much respect the league has for him, or the management around the league. Now, I'm so excited to see the Colorado Mammoth and what they can do this season. Obviously, last year was quite disappointing, 5-13, not where you want to be, did have a lot of injuries, but if they can stay healthy, and that is a big if with Ryan Lee. I think I had put a tweet out that since 2020. So since the COVID break started in March of 2020, Ryan Lee has only played 32 games, and that includes the postseason. So he has just been riddled with injuries. But when we've seen him on the floor, he's been fantastic. He has been arguably one of the best players in the National Lacrosse League. Now, if you can have a healthy Ryan Lee, a healthy Eli McLaughlin, you bring in one of the top promising young forwards in this league in Will Malcolm, who was taken number 1 overall in the Panther City dispersal draft. You've got depth guys like Tyson Gibson. You've got Connor Kelly, Connor Robinson, Zed Williams. I mean, that offense is unbelievable. Sure, no Joey Capito, but like you just alluded to, hopefully a re-energized and a revamped Dylan Ward, who I know so many people still think has so much left in the tank. With Robert Hope back there on defense, Warren Jeffrey, other guys. You know, this team, if they stay healthy and if they can put all the pieces together, I think is primed for a playoff run for sure. But, you know, when Ryan Lee has been healthy and this team is stacked, you know, it's not weird to think that they couldn't do what they did in 2022 and make a run for the championship.
Right. You think taking the regular season, I don't know if more seriously is the right term, but what is this unified standings, like we said last year for Colorado, was just not very good. Do you think having another year of that under their belt helps them out?
I don't think anyone's looking at the unified standings and placing blame or anything like that, or even adjusting to it at that point. Sure, you know, when you're not used to facing certain opponents, you're going to have to maybe focus a little more hard on film, maybe, you know, do a little bit more research if you're a player. But most of these guys, they have the game that they play, and they go out there and do it. They do it with their team. I think that for them, you know, sure, it makes you understand that every game is maybe even more important. And obviously, with Panther City now unfortunately gone in this league, and now 14 teams competing for 8 spots, and the rosters across the board just getting that much better, it is going to be a highly competitive year. But like I said, with this Colorado Mammoth team, they have the pieces and they're all healthy at the moment to do something special. So let's see if that can hold and that they can really move forward and do something great this year.
I love it. So do me a favor. I know you probably don't have them pulled up yet, but before I get it, while I hype this next game up, pull up Preston's picks for me because we're going to ask you about it afterwards.
Sure.
Albany Firewolves, Dyson Williams is going to add to what was already a pretty good young team, and they're taking on a rush squad with Frank Giuliano, who's still amazing, Robert Church, Ryan Keenan, etc. What are you expecting from this game, specifically Dyson Williams, who I believe you're doing a piece on?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to be a part of a mini documentary that is going to take part, or that's being put together on Dyson Williams. I was approached by, Rich Owens, who was a former NLL producer and videographer who did amazing work. He has now started his own production company, and he said, Adam, what are some cool stories around the National Lacrosse League? This was over the off season. I said, Dyson Williams is obviously the guy that we should be featuring. There's so many layers to who he is as a person and who he is as a player. So we've been working on that. And so I'm actually going to be up in Albany. I would have been up there anyway, but obviously Rich is going to be shooting some footage to kind of close things out for that project, which is going to be super cool. Dyson Williams, you know, you talk about we just talked about his teammate in Brennan O'Neill. Dyson Williams, because of his box experience and what everyone expects of him, I think him to be exactly as advertised. I think he's going to, with the roster that the Albany Firewolves have, is going to challenge Alex Simmons's rookie team record, and you know, I'll go out on a limb and say might even challenge Jeff Teet's rookie points record from a few years back. I mean, with the roster that the Albany Firewolves have, especially in offense, and then you've got great transition defense and goaltending, you know, the points will just come for Dyson, and he's going to create them on his own. His teammates will help him, but Ethan Walker, Alex Simmons, Ty Kurtz, Fennell, Dyson Williams, this team is just so good. Marshall Powless, this team, Travis Longboat. I mean, they really, there's all of these guys contributed last year, and I expect them to continue to contribute, and Dyson's going to be a big part of that. So it's going to be exciting, but I do want to give a shout out, and I'm excited to see a friend of mine and a friend of, I know, this program, and Cody Jansen at the Rush Albany Firewolves game this week.
Hey.
And I want to give a shout out to the fact that this is not just about Dyson Williams. This is about the young guys coming in for Saskatchewan, particularly offensively. You're going to have Levi Anderson and Brock Haley. I know a lot of analysts are thinking that Brock Haley could be a dark horse potentially for Rookie of the Year, maybe definitely on that finalist category. So you got two great young talents on the Rush. I think it's going to be a very exciting game. Again, going back to the NLL coaches and GMs poll, to see the Rush in the 8th spot in their power rankings list shows that even though they didn't make the playoffs last year, they think they've made enough positive change to do something special this year. And again, you look at their roster, it's hard to argue with that.
Jake Naso as well, not to snub anybody else you just mentioned.
Yeah, and I had actually, put out a tweet that I think during the preseason he had won 73% of his faceoffs, at least at halfway through training camp, which, yes, of course, it's training camp. He's going against only Rush guys, but there's no one in Rush history, and that includes going back all the way to the Edmonton days, who in a regular season has won 58% or more than 58% of their faceoffs. So even if Naso ends up or Naso, excuse me if I'm getting the pronunciation wrong, that when it comes to if he can win over 60%, he's setting a franchise record, which should be applauded, especially as a rookie.
I love that so much. Last thing I want to get to here, because it would be remiss if I didn't. Preston's picks is awesome. I have signed up. I've made my picks for these 3 games. Who did Preston pick?
So this week's games, Preston went, and I had warned everyone that he would favor the Animals. He chose the Ottawa Black Bears over the Toronto Rock. And, with Zach Higgins now in net, another year of Jeff Teat, and that offensive core that's been together for Ottawa, maybe they challenge the Rock a little bit more than the Rock expect. It's going to be interesting. A lot of the pieces are back for the Rock right now, but if we're looking at a week 1 thing, what's the status of Tom Schreiber? How is Latrell Harris going to be in his first NLL game back after missing an entire season? What is another year older Mark Matthews going to look like? Not to say that I'm not putting a knock on Mark Matthews. I'm just saying that, it can take time for guys to adjust to certain things. So it'll be interesting. No TD Erlin at the face-off dot. So, Jay Thornbird is going to end up winning a ton of face-offs there, which is great as he's climbing up the ranks. Are chasing Jeremy Thompson for the most face-off wins all time. I believe I'm getting that right. Maybe it's Jay who holds the record. I could be having that backwards. But either way, one of the greatest to ever do it at the face-off dot. So, Preston has Ottawa. Then he's going Vancouver over Colorado, Desert Dogs over Rochester, Albany Firewolves over Saskatchewan, and then to end the weekend, he is choosing, which I think might be the biggest surprise to most people, the Philadelphia Wings over the San Diego Seals in San Diego.
I mean, the kid's bold. I'll give him credit.
Yeah. That's what he said before he did the picks. He said, "I'm gonna be bold." And then
and he'll say fire for Firewolves.
yeah.
Lacrosse Matrix podcast, what's coming up, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah, so I have an episode. It's actually out right now. Go check it out. Released this morning. It's going to be shared on Lacrosse Culture Daily. If it hasn't already, definitely go check it out. It is on Lacrosse Culture Daily's Jonathan Donville, who is one of the newest members of the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, one of the top young assist men in the league. He's done some incredible work as a feeder in the National Lacrosse League. So go check that episode out on Spotify. You can find it also on Lacrosse Culture Daily, as I said. The episode before was on the Saskatchewan Rush's Austin Shanks, who is a new member of the Rush, which is just another intriguing part of what we're going to see in Albany in that game. So those are the latest 2 episodes for that.
Love it. And we love Adam Levy. Sir, we'll see you next week, buddy. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
America, get back on track with Dust Pod's Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water, Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Back live here. Pat, you look good, man. How you been?
Good, buddy. Hanging out here in the capital city of Canada. Was at the arena, the Canadian Tire Center earlier today for morning shoot around. The turf looks great. The building looks like it's going to be rocking. So we're really excited to kick the season off. And I think, honestly, don't think we could have asked for a more intriguing matchup when it comes from a Canadian angle between the Battle of Ontario.
Yeah, and so if you want to start there, I guess we will, because this is the betting part of this show.
Of course.
And last time I checked it, it was Toronto still heavy favorites. I think that's changed a little bit. I mean, they're still the favorites, but you got Ottawa's first game. Technically, it feels new. Can they give this Rock team a game? And what else do you know about this thing?
I know it is a new team, located team, but the New York Riptide franchise, who they moved from, has not had a ton of success against this Toronto team. 1-5 to be exact. So they have struggled against this team. There have been some great fights, but it's been Toronto ultimately being to pull away. I think Toronto is going to have a really good regular season. I'm not too sure what will happen if they meet the Bandits once again in the postseason. But this Toronto team is a team that I think has what it takes to at least be in the for a championship. With that being said, they are starting quite shorthanded, and they are starting with some serious injuries to begin this year. It was announced today. Challen Rogers added to the IR. He's still dealing with a nagging from the PLL, which in training camp, lower body injury, wasn't able really to get over that the entire summer. Obviously played for Team Canada, was able to battle through that, and it looked like he was going to be good to go. Patients show that against Philadelphia in that final exhibition game, there was some sort of setback. So to be safe, it sounds like he's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks. And they're not going to try to rush him back. So no Challen Rogers. We know TD Erlin is going to be out for a significant amount of time. That is going to mean a lot in the face-off dot, especially going up against Jay Thornburg. Obviously not as good as the face-off guy as he once was, but not having TD there is going to be a huge loss. And then we find out Brad Curry put on the PUP list. He is not going to be playing in this this game. So I feel like there is a lot. Sure, they add in Latrell Harris. We know Tom Schreiber it looks like is that he's going to go, but we know he's still working his way back from that injury. And I feel like this Ottawa team did a lot in the offseason. They bolstered their defense. They go out and get Higgins. And what we saw from Jeff Teat this summer, that this guy not only wants to be the best player on the planet, he wants to win. And he wants to win really bad. And I think what a better way to start on the right foot in Ottawa with a victory. So I in our NLL picks, I went a little bit off the board, went with the Black Bears. And I think if from a betting angle, why the hell not? Sprinkle the money line on the Black Bears. Plus 138. Right now, a cool bet, though. The line that I love, and it's probably favorite for tonight when it comes from a side, is the Black Bears plus 1.5 and minus 110. I think they can keep this one close. I wouldn't be surprised with whatever happens here. The only thing that I'm really gathering from being around both these teams, everyone's locked in, and I think we're going to see a really close game.
If it helps anybody, on the U.S. market, DraftKings has it at plus 100 at plus 1.5. So that's plus money, baby.
There you go. Love to hear that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess, like you said, plus 145 on DraftKings, plus 130 on Coolbet. But, if you still want the plus money, I would not mind the plus 1.5. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to disagree with you on my bets, but another one of us, I think producer Joe picked the Black Bears, so.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I like, of course, it's always hard to fade the Rock, especially in the regular season. They've proven that they're one of the best teams in the league for a reason. I just feel like this Ottawa team has a lot to prove here. Ottawa's schedule to start the year, like, I don't know what the schedulers at the NLL have against this Ottawa team, but they go Toronto this week. They then play Buffalo in their second game. Play Toronto once again, and then San Diego. Like, that is 4 measuring sticks right away. So they can't afford to go 0-4. There's an old adage that says, like, you can't win a championship in the first month, but you certainly can lose. For them, if they go 0-4 with the unified standings, Mike, it's going to be virtually not impossible, but very tough for them to A, finish in that top 4, or B, even really find themselves in that playoffs mix. So tough task coming up, but something just tells me, part of me says that the Black Bears are going to come out with a win here in Ottawa.
I'm glad you said that, because I did pick every game on the schedule. I actually had them starting 0-4 and making the playoffs, so there you go.
Oof, that's tough. That is tough. I think you need to release those documents. I've been seeing you working around with those sheets over the last couple of weeks. It's release the documents, Mike.
Jeez. So let's get into the next game here. It actually is the other one tonight. It's Vancouver at Colorado. Under 23.5, I love. Kurt Malosky versus a Colorado team that's always pesky, especially at home. What you got, man?
I think I'm leaning the under as well. I think you've talked about it. I think a lot of people, it's no surprise, are anticipating a bounce back season from Dylan. Statistically, it was the worst season of his career as a starting goaltender. And that is very, very just not characteristic of Dylan Ward. So I think he's going to bounce back. I think Vancouver, when you look at them defensively, they're mean, they're strong, they're very structured under Kurt Malosky. The only thing that scares me, though, with that under is that both teams do have some serious firepower up front. Ryan Lee, don't know if he is going to play. All indications say that, he should be ready for game 1. We'll have to wait and see. But even without him, you've got other options there with Zed Williams, Connor Robinson. You add in Will Malcolm, and then obviously on Vancouver's side, we saw their offense improve as the season progressed along. Now you add some youngsters in there, Peyton Cormier, Jonathan Peshko. I think that offense is going to be really, really good. But to start this year, I think it's going to take some time for both these offenses to start to gel. And I think the defense is shining through. So I'm going to go with you here with the under in this one.
Yes, love it.
See, we can agree on something. We're on the other side we're agreeing on the other. So
there you go. So 23.5 on Coolbet as well, right?
Yeah, 23.5. I like the under. I would play it like 23 seems really high for those two teams. 22 and 3, like I don't think I go any lower than the 22.5. Just like
Oh
I
yeah.
mentioned, I think despite how good these teams are defensively, uh, Ryan Lee going off in a big performance in his first game back. The variables when it comes to some explosive offensive pieces.
Don't put that on the universe. How dare you? All right. So Adam Levy earlier mentioned about the Brandon O'Neill aspect of the Philadelphia Wings, but I gotta know because the Wings have two number one picks, not just O'Neill, but also Nick Damoud from the dispersal draft. Not bad goalie. And signed Callum Crawford. Is it possible the Philadelphia Wings at plus 160 on Sunday on ESPN2 upset the Seals, who were, to be fair, had more roster turnover than the Wings did?
They had a ton of roster turnover, and I've been pretty vocal for that. It could be a challenge early on for the Seals team to kind of find that groove. You basically have almost an entire new right side. You bring in Ben McIntosh, you bring in Rob Hellier. You obviously still
Hell
have
yeah.
two really pieces. Yeah. And on the left side, though, it's looks completely different. And to be quite honest, like Ryan Benesh is your number one option, which there's no denying that he's starting to get a little bit older. Do you have enough firepower on that left side? They're using Trent DeChico from what it sounds like out the Odor, which when I was doing my draft prep, I projected him more to be like a transition player. So maybe there's a trade in the works, or a guy like Chris Wardle might be anticipating coming off of the IR sooner rather than later. I don't know. With that being said, it's a long travel for Philadelphia, and you mentioned there is some turn. I like what they did defensively. I think it's going to take a little time for that D to kind of gel. Nick Damoud, he is a guy that can steal you many games. So, is there a chance that they could? Sure, hop on a bird Sunday after, go to San Diego. It is a lot to ask for a Philadelphia team that finished dead last, but I think you could. It's a stay away from me, to be quite honest. But at San Diego, if you're going to get San Diego at any time, I think earlier in the season before they start to gel is better. I actually like the under in this game, to be quite frank. Um, I think San Diego is a team, as much as I'm questionable about, I think defensively and in between the pipes with Chris Origlieri, like I think this team in years past, when you think about the Seals, you think about the high powered offense. This year, I think they're going to be more predicated off of, transition, slums down, rough defense, and of course, one of the best young goalies in the game in Chris Origlieri. I think they could hold down the fort. We know Philadelphia's off defense last year was very tough to watch at sometimes. They really improved. They brought a new coach off the back door. I think there's going to be a big, heavy emphasis on defense. So I kind of want to lean with the under here. I know Nick Damoud is going to want to prove that coach or now GM Paul Day made the right decision to bring him up.
It's funny because on my Preston's picks, I said 21 because I had a 12-9 Seals victory. I would not mind the under in that game, even though it could be sexy to pick the over. So I like that.
It's tough, Mike. I will say, just from a general betting perspective, these lines are really tough. This is where, quote unquote, the public generally makes most of their money, though, because the book are still trying to figure out lines. They're still trying to figure out how these teams work. As the season progresses, that's where the lines start to get a little bit sharper. So, of course, don't think like you got to rush to the sports book and get your advantage right away. Of course, still play smart, be responsible, pick your choices, play within your limits. But of course, there might be some opportunities where you feel like the line could be off. But let's also not, there are paid professionals who set these lines, and most of the time they're pretty spot on.
Most of the time, but Vancouver is a favorite against Colorado. Just, I'm just saying.
Hey, the love Kurt Milosky, and they must love all the additions that they made this year. Again, if I had to choose that side, I probably would lean Colorado, but that's why I like the under better.
I love it. So you're part of Coolbet Canada. Also, it's the OTCB podcast, correct?
Yes, sir. You got that right.
I always get like you and some other podcast letters confused there. But tell me, are you and Teddy on the call tonight for the Ottawa game?
Yep. It'll be
Yes!
Teddy and myself tonight. Very excited for that. Teddy was a long travel day yesterday from Victoria, but he finally made it. He got in late last night at like 2 a.m. But he had a coffee in hand. We went over to the arena, so we're excited. Ashley Docking will be our floor reporter, so we're super excited for this. It sounds like, Mike, ticket sales have been really good here in Ottawa. We're expecting a great crowd. That building is off. I think we're in for a really special night here, kicking off professional lacrosse the first time since 2003. Man, it's been a long time since these people have seen some NLL ball.
Cannot wait for your call. Check out the OTCB podcast. Anything else you want to plug before we let you fly on your bird, you called it? That was good.
No,
I like the
that was, yeah, there you go. No, just off the crossbar podcast. This week we had Nathan. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I tell you, this guy's got a long future ahead of him in his career, but when he's done, he might be a guy that would fit perfectly jumping up in the booth or being a media personality, because he was an awesome chat. Talked about obviously him being from Ottawa and how important it is having a professional team. Talked about his experience with Albany last year and what amazing run and chemistry that they had last year, and kind of the transition going from a team that championship to. It was a little bittersweet for him, so I don't want to spoil too much. You got to go like, subscribe, download the pod, listen in, and we've got some great stories from Nate Grennan this week.
Nate Grennan. Okay, the audio cut off when you said in. I was like, who? Okay, good. Nate Grennan. Thank you, Pat. You were awesome. We'll possibly see you next Friday, but enjoy yourself tonight. We can't wait.
And I can't wait. Thanks again for having me. Excited again to get the NLL season rolling. If you're in Canada, we're on TSN. If you're on the States, you can tune in on ESPN. And then, of course, if you are everywhere across the world, if you're in Ireland, if you're in Scotland, NLL Plus, make sure you sign up so you can watch some games all across.
He's a company man. Nice Castor shirt, you mean.
this little thing here. This thing here.
Yeah, get the money. Thank you. Pat Gregoire is awesome, but you folks knew that Coolbet Canada's own OTCB podcasts and on TSN tonight and ESPN Plus. If you want to watch that game live, you go on NLL Plus or TSN. And, of course, if you want to watch the replay in the United States, you just go on NLL Plus or just watch it live on ESPN Plus, whatever. All right, when we come back to this awesome show, my pick'em, producer Joe's pick'em, my best bets, producer Joe's best bets. Cannot wait. Don't go anywhere. We're going to wrap it up next.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sports book, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
America, get back on track with Dust Pod's Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water, Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, guess what? Did you know that we have an audio-only podcast version of this show? Go to Spotify and search Daily Dive or click the link in our social media bios. I've been told I have a radio face anyways. And when today's awesome show ends, be sure that you're getting your tickets for the next game. Buy them for less at tickets.12ouncesports.com. That's tickets.numbers12letters.ozsports.com. You won't regret seeing things live, knowing you got your tickets for a good price. Alrighty, it is time to put our money where our mouth is here. It is time for the Pick'em segment featuring myself and producer Joe's picks and best bets. Last season in the picks, producer Joe went 81-58 in the regular season. I went 85-54. Our picks starting this week for week number 1. I've got the Rock, Mammoth, Nighthawks, Firewolves, and Seals. Producer Joe has all of those except he's got the Black Bears. And I believe that was before he knew Poutine Pat was going to do that. So, we're all, same on all the games except for the Rock and the Black Bears. And now it is time for our best bets, where last season producer Joe went a smoking hot 28-13. I held up the rear at 25-22. Still, you won money on this show. Here they are. Read them, weep them. I've got the Rock minus 1.5. I think they're going to beat the Black Bears, even though what Pat said was kind of concerning to me. Being at that minus 128 on FanDuel. I've got Las Vegas versus Rochester over 23.5. That is now plus money. And I love that bet. Producer Joe's got the Nighthawks money line. And he's got Toronto versus Ottawa over 22.5. So there are your best bets. Here again is our pick'em. And that wraps up week number 1, which means it's officially time for the season to begin. Again, the first game is at 7 o'clock Eastern tonight. We thank you once again for tuning in to this awesome, awesome show. Reminder to follow us at Daily Dive LAX on social media and click the link tree in our bio for our shop, socials, and more. Reminder, you're the bread, you're the butter, you are the in-laws to my Thanksgiving dinner. If you tuned in for the first time, please come again and be sure to comment. For amazing guests like the ones this week, today's guests, Adam Levi and Pat Gregoire, and those to come, thank you for coming on this show, sharing your audience with us, giving us validity and relevance. For the baddest daddy in producing history, producer Joe, I am your host, Mike, saying see ya next weekend. Enjoy your weekend. See you Monday. Same time, same place. 12 Sports. This has been Daily Dive.
Thanks for watching Daily Dive. See you next time.